just very humbled to have the opportunity to keep alive a legacy that will never die. I would like to first address this issue where I have been convicted here in the media, which claims that I am an advocate of violence. Well, I say to you that if nonviolence means that America will continue to ignore the problems facing black people here in this country, people who are the constant victims of this violence, then yes, I'm for violence as a means of self-defense. Because if it is right for America to teach us to be violent in defense of this country, then isn't it also right for you and me to do whatever's necessary to defend ourselves here in a country that denies black people the rights to life, liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness, as it states in the Constitution? And then if a black man does stand up to defend himself in any type of way, he's suddenly seen as an extremist. He's supposed to sit back passively, be nonviolent, and love his enemies, no matter what kind of attack it may be, verbal or otherwise. He's supposed to take it. And if he does stand up in any type of way to defend himself, he's suddenly seen as being violent. I am very much grateful for having the opportunity in the last maybe 10 to 12 years to keep alive the legacy of my hero, Al-Haj Malik Al-Shabazz, more famously known as Malcolm X. People ask me, where did all this start from? I think I really got to know, I was born in 63, so in 65 I was a very young toddler who probably didn't know much about Malcolm X then. But I learned about him in the late 70s. One day I always phrase it like this: I was skipping class, hanging out in the school library, and this teacher looked at me with suspicion, because back then I didn't read. So I tried to fake like I was looking for a book, and as the teacher came my way, I grabbed a book, and the book just so happened to be the autobiography of Malcolm X. And it's like, wow, and it was the first book that I really read, because it was something about the life of this man and the images that I saw in this book that captivated me. Well, that day in the late 1970s, that book was never to be found in my library again because I took it. And my mom presented that book to me some 3 decades later, because she said to me, that was the first time I saw you really reading and really applying yourself. And it wasn't until really years later, probably in the early 1990s, when people say, wow, man, you look like Malcolm X. And I had been doing a lot of things in the community, really had not discovered my artistic talents as of yet. And the arts came about probably in the late 90s. And I would do poetry, a lot of things, phrasing, things from Malcolm X's speeches, some of his beliefs and things of that nature. And while doing that, I found out about a play called The Meeting, which is about what would happen had Malcolm X and Martin Luther King joined forces in the fight for human rights, as Malcolm would phrase it, not civil rights, human rights. And I went in, auditioned, I got the role. And the first thing they asked me was, are you in costume, or is that the way you look? I said, this is the way I look, brother. Well, I say to you that defending oneself is not violence at all. Rather, it's intelligence. And if we truly want our freedom here in this country, it's time for black people to stop marching and singing and start swinging. Because this so-called democracy, as it pertains to the rights of you and me, is nothing more than hypocrisy. And if anyone can prove me wrong, throw me in jail. Otherwise, don't put your hands on me. Who are you? You don't know? I'm working on a one-man production about Malcolm X as of right now. I'm a playwright. I've written 2 plays myself. But one of the things that's most important to me as an artist is to keep alive the legacy of this man who has such a great impact upon my life, and I'm quite sure the lives of many of you. Mr. Moderator, brothers, sisters, friends, and I'm certain there are also many enemies here. I want everyone to feel welcome as I greet you all in the Islamic words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. And today's conversation, as I understand it, is the Negro Revolt. And where do we go from here? Or what's next? In my humble way of thinking, it points to either the ballot or the bullet.